Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm Chris Clements, your humble servant.
So, it's been an eventful last few days.
It's been crazy the last couple of days.
The Queen has died.
We got a notice during our last podcast on paper. The
Queen died.
Yeah. End of an era, the end of, well, I mean, not necessarily the British monarchy, but certainly it's going to be moving into
the status will definitely change, I think.
Another phase.
She brought a lot of stability and
dignity.
Yeah, I mean,
integrity.
Boy, talk about someone who really, I mean, yes, it's privileged to be a monarch, but she started at a very young age and went through a lot of deals. I mean, she gave up a lot. Let's put it that way. Well,
as I shared on another podcast, I've never been one to, really be interested in the monarchy. And then my wife sat me down and said, hey, why don't we watch The Crown together? I said, oh, okay. I've heard of it, but not really familiar with it. And then I got into it in terms of the way they portray things historically, especially in World War II, and her rise to power, her interaction with Winston Churchill, and then the subsequent prime ministers of Great Britain. And I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated with her youth at that time. I was fascinated of the dynamic between she and Philip, and his struggles as a spouse.
A man's man who actually is second fiddle.
Yeah, as a husband, as a spouse. How am I supportive as a spouse in this relationship, and at the same time be my own person? And they did a great job of just sort of portraying that conflict and the conflict that it spiraled within the monarchy and within the government.
Right.
And then everything that came afterwards with the birth of her children and everything else. I just, we said this before. I mean, the issue going forward is the offspring. And the offspring, starting with Prince Charles, but especially Prince Andrew, he's been implicated in so much over the last several years that he's become persona non grata. I don't know. And then you've got the grandkids with William and Harry, and in terms of being in line for the throne. It's just the end of an era, a huge end of the era.
Yeah.
Of an era. And whether you're fascinated by the British monarchy or completely dismiss it as something that we shouldn't be really fascinated with, I think you have to understand so much of the special relationship, as we call it,
right,
that we enjoy with Great Britain has much to do with Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah. Her first prime minister was Winston Churchill.
And he was the lion.
Yeah.
He was the greatest, arguably, other than Margaret Thatcher, the greatest prime minister.
I would put him above Margaret Thatcher. The guy...
I said other than.
Yeah, other than, yeah.
Other than. He's the greatest prime minister that Britain's ever known.
Absolutely. The only reason that Britain kept itself alive long enough in World War II for America to finally decide to get involved. And not to say that America wasn't useful to the Britons with the Lend-Lease programs where we were providing. Did you know, this blew me away, Britain finished paying its debt to the United States for expenses of World War II, within the last few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Isn't that amazing? A shout out to the Great Britain for sticking with their deal. And it took a long time to pay it off, but
yeah,
it was worth it to stop Nazi Germany.
It was.
I read a Winston Churchill biography, and which was very lengthy, and then read his work, Gathering Storm. It's a 6-part series about the World War II. Finished Gathering Storm, just started the next one. So, there's so much about the history of England that, prior to us revolting and becoming our own thing, yes. But the English-speaking peoples, as Winston Churchill would remind people, that there's a unique bond there,
Absolutely.
and that was definitely shown during World War II.
Yeah.
So
Well, again, I mean, that special relationship between those two, the Queen and Winston Churchill, I mean, carried on for decades with the special relationship we endured and enjoyed with Great Britain.
yeah,
And the fact that what you just illustrated in terms of them finally paying their debt from World War II is just fascinating. It is embodiment of the commitment we have to each other.
yeah,
And we have a shared history and a shared duty to stand up for democracy and our common values and our common place in the world as leaders of free peoples.
right.
And along with the death of the Queen, Great Britain's going through a government transition right now.
Yeah.
With the election of a new prime minister, and she has a very tight window. She's somewhat Thatcher-esque in terms of her views of the world. She's self-described libertarian.
Yeah. Well, and as you may have heard in our previous podcast with Lisa DePasquale, the prime ministers in Great Britain who have been women have been conservative.
Yes, they have.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's never come from the other side.
No. And she, with everything, and right now, a lot is being reported on what is going on in Great Britain in terms of energy prices for all of Europe, really, but how Britain's going to be dealing with the increase in energy costs leading into the winter. The new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has just announced some price controls.
Yeah.
Which is not libertarian.
Nope.
But I would imagine what she's thinking is she's trying to buy time to fire up, the natural resources that they do have at their disposal that has been squashed by the current government.
Yeah.
In their quest to be more woke.
Right. Well, and obviously with the death of the Queen, there's a lot of things that are going to be pushed to the side for a few weeks.
Yeah. There won't be any major policies
Yeah.
coming out. I would imagine Liz will be called to Prince Charles's office to get an earful over
King Charles.
King Charles. Well, in the meantime, to get an earful of his view of climate policy.
Yeah, we'll see.
And whatever his viewpoints are.
Interesting. 70 years. Elizabeth was 70 years.
I'm going to go back and watch The Crown again.
It's the longest serving British monarch in
Yeah.
history. What an astounding reign. That's just, that's amazing.
It's really humbling.
Yeah.
It's really humbling. And
And thank goodness Charles will not be anywhere close to 70 years in the seat.
no, that
7?
5?
17 tops.
Call it 7 months. Maybe there'll be a coup. Maybe there'll be a palace coup. Do they still do that nowadays? Maybe William and
I don't know.
maybe that's what William and Harry have planned.
Been watching a little bit too much Game of Thrones.
I
there,
don't know.
Clements.
You just gotta think. There's some sort of. You would hope there's something medieval going on in their planning.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not. We saw how you treated our mother.
Yes.
We're sorry, Father, but you must go.
You must go. Well, it'll be.
It isn't out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's not. But it's. I was to say, life is never boring.
No,
There's always something.
Well,
always a new twist.
The
and
one
turn.
thing you can count on with the Royals is constant drama.
Yep. There will always
and the
be
next
news.
couple of weeks, even with the passing of this great leader and this great monarch, if you can have a great monarch in this day and age, there will be drama.
There will be drama.
Especially around Harry and Meghan and the whole thing.
Well, and I think the drama is actually going to increase because the Queen had a way of keeping things a little bit calm.
Oh, for sure.
In comparison
when
with
you
the
got
could have
called to the Queen, it got
That's
even
serious.
even with the whole Meghan and Harry saga, he would get called to his grandmother's, residence, and things would calm down. And it seemed like she kept giving him olive branches after olive branches,
Yeah.
and his wife kept swatting them away.
Yeah. Well, it will be interesting because obviously there was a reverence for grandmother, the Queen. The question is, what kind of relationship does he have with Charles, who is now the king? And
Which,
will
my
that change
understanding, the last
dynamic?
couple of encounters, they did not speak.
Ooh.
I mean, from what I've read, that he's spoken with his brother, but he hasn't spoken with his father. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just it's
be fascinating to watch.
here it comes.
Here it comes.
This is why I'm always partial to the Irish. I mean, at least with the Irish, you got good music and a good pint and the whole 9 yards. That's why I'm a U2 fan. We can talk about the Brits in other ways.
There you go. Well, it'll be interesting to watch, and plenty more drama coming our way here in Arizona.
Oh, I
with
know.
the election.
Yeah.
So we'll have plenty to talk about over the next few
We're
weeks.
going to be talking about that a little bit more next week. We're not. It doesn't look like we're going to have a gubernatorial debate.
No debate. Katie Hobbs
Hobbs is going to hide in her basement.
hide in the basement. Shocking. Surprising, not shocking. Shocking, not surprising. I don't know. Disappointing. If you
Unbelievable.
if you
Unbelievable. in this day
want
and
to
age.
be the leader of the state, then and put yourself up there, then do the job. The job is a healthy debate of ideas.
There should be
I
three
mean,
debates.
This isn't a
before the election.
coronation.
No.
She's not going to be the queen,
No, she's not going to be the queen.
so she has to debate.
And it doesn't matter how much she straightens her hair and how much makeup she puts on. She's not going to be the queen.
Well, you're right. I think
And that's just alluding to, for our listeners, that she's done a complete makeover. If
Well,
you've seen her
look,
the last several years.
I don't begrudge anyone for that kind of stuff. What I do begrudge people of is not actually campaigning when you want the job.
Yeah.
And my guess is that she or her handlers have said, "Oh, a debate against Carrie Lake could do more damage than good." Well,
But
that's
And that's exactly what, by not debating, that communicates that.
And-
that
and-
you're
well, right.
absolutely
And-
afraid of
And guess
debating.
what? Debates, going into a debate as the underdog is not a bad thing.
Well,
because
and
you only have
debates
to.
go different ways. They can go
Absolutely.
in a bunch of different directions in terms of.
Everyone would
what
see her as
happens.
the underdog because Carrie Lake is very polished and very articulate, and has a strong personality on the stage, strong personality in general. And so Katie would be the underdog, and it would only take a sharp comment or a flub by Lake for things to shift.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind when Mondale and Reagan debated, everyone assumed Mondale was wiping the floor with Reagan, and Mondale, alluded to, well, my guy's old, and
Yeah,
Reagan.
That's a great point.
Reagan completely changed the entire dynamic of the debate and the election when he said, "I am not going to criticize my opponent for his youth and inexperience."
Yeah.
And even Mondale burst out laughing because it was a great line, and everything shifted. So it just shows that debates actually have some impact, can have some impact.
Absolutely. The entire
be
elections
prepared.
have shifted because of people's impressions of the debates.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at what happened in the first televised debate. I mean, just going
Right.
back to the beginning,
If you
with,
listened
between
to it on the
JFK,
radio, you thought Nixon
and
won.
Nixon.
Watched it on TV.
Yeah, if you watched it on
Kennedy
TV, Kennedy won. If you listened to the radio, absolutely Nixon won. And Nixon was shown kind of sweating, and he had the
Shifty
flu, and there was all these other dynamics going on that was very apparent on television
Right.
versus on the radio.
Right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. And I guess we'll be waiting on a long time for the debate.
Well, I would bet there will be enough pressure that they'll have to have at least one.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
I would imagine. I mean, it's early September.
yeah, but these things have to get planned, and I don't know. Maybe you're right. We'll see.
Yeah.
We can only hope. Because that would be a fun debate to watch.
It would be a fun
I would
debate
actually
to-
watch that debate.
Yeah, I would. I might go to that debate. I don't go to any of them.
All right.
All right.
Have a
Thanks for
great week.
listening. God bless.
Take care.